Greetings. I'm gonna hang out for like 15 minutes and then I'm gonna get going. I gotta do some work, unfortunately. My impulsive live stream. You never know when I'm gonna stream. You just never know. You never know when I'm gonna live stream. It's just a mystery. Yeah, I got an exam and I got an assignment due at midnight, and I've got papers I need to read. Yeah. How you doing, The Flash? How are you tonight? How is your Sunday going? Well, I'm in school, so we'll see. Eventually, I'll be working all day, every day. So I need to appreciate the luxury of, I suppose, studying and stuff. Would be nice. Can't complain. I like that. Not complaining will definitely add at least 10 years to your life. That'd be good. So unfortunately, I have the microphone in my laptop, but I do have the better quality camera for this stream, so that's good. Sort of a trade, two USB ports, and my Wi-Fi is being accessed via an adapter. Sweet. Because I think in the future, I'd like to be able to use video camera. It's a nicer quality, 1080p, I think. While not sacrificing too much of the audio, because I had bought this cool piece here. You can plug it in, and here you can be heard quite clearly. But I think this is going to be the move if I do a live stream, for sure. Oh man. So I guess I'll just stick around for about 15 minutes. My current state is I'm thinking about ordering some Chinese food. I have a discussion post to complete, and I need to review stuff for a test on Wednesday because I want to get an A in my class. I have a 91 in the class, so I just need to keep my A. Recently, what's been on my mind, I know you're the only one in here, but I've been thinking a lot about analytical psychology, psychoanalytic psychology, stuff like that. More specifically, the role of nature itself, and what we find to be clinically useful and not useful. Very much, of course, I'm not working as much, so I'm feeling my inspirational sort of idea about wanting to tailor treatment to the individual, not using the DSM. So that's what I'm getting at here. The DSM is not the best tool, in my view, for addressing mental health issues. But it's all we got for now. So I guess we have to roll with it until we can figure out something better. I start my clinical rotation in the fall. I'm completely right now. But in the fall, I'll be in clinic. I'm hoping to do my clinical portion at Grady in Atlanta. So that's certainly one option right now. Looks like we've got another person in here. Welcome. Welcome to my YouTube castle. Currently, I would say that I'm like in between feeling really fulfilled and not being fulfilled because I'm not really doing the clinical work I want to do yet. I'm doing the training to be licensed to kind of do it. But as a general rule, when I don't feel like I'm being rushed insanely, when I have that time to engage in a real sort of conversation with a patient, is my passion. There are very few things in life that I find to be truly more rewarding than, just listening to people, talking to people, asking them about how they're eating, how they're sleeping, these questions. I love to get to know really the emotional life of other people from a more personal perspective, but also from a medical one. It's interesting to do an examination of, the different medical underpinnings and get a good sense of what those are. I'm finding my way, I suppose, but I see in my hopefully a more of an integrative medicine practice for psychiatry. So I'm hoping to, kind of go my own way in that respect. Yeah, mental health is a pretty burgeoning area right now. So it should be really interesting and fun to get to know the different kinds of, what we think of as psychopathologies and how they're manifesting themselves. I'm psychoanalytic in my orientation, so that seems to be the thing I enjoy the most, is getting kind of that relationship going, and then understanding what are considered the defenses as they're emerging, and trying to kind of extrapolate from that, like, where in the world are these defenses coming from? What is the purpose of the defense? The underlying psychological needs, and then hopefully looking at lifestyle alongside that to develop a truly holistic treatment plan, which is at its root very much contingent upon me having that really close relationship with my patient, which is really the goal, me having that relationship. I do see myself ultimately wanting to work with adolescents and children, not necessarily professionally, but pro bono. I want to get into the school systems and the churches and try to kind of get, these institutions involved to address, community factors. Because I think, at the key, mental health for me is largely related to our sense of connection and support and belonging. And I want that to be taken more seriously. So I'm hoping that when I, get my licenses and things, I can talk to, awareness and education and thing at a local level. That's the thing that inspires me the most, is a social role in a community to help people to, realize more or less that, we can do better, if we work together to help people get the support that they need before, of course, things get really out of hand, which is a lot of what happens. Unfortunately, we ignore problems and then they get worse over time. And before you know it, that's life. But when people come together, the people are very resilient. This is the truth. This is the reality I want to help people to realize. It's a very spiritual sort of approach, psychosocial approach to helping people. Yeah, I think if there's anything I want people to take seriously, it's that the brain is a social organ, and that social organ is extended throughout the whole body. So when we're talking about mental health, are in fact talking about relationships, community, and the way that the body is engaging in these dynamic processes. Because if we have to treat the body. If we want to treat the brain and the body, we got to treat the relationships. If we want to treat the brain body relationships, we have to treat the early relationships. That's attachment. And if we want to, get to the root cause of these really big mental health problems, we're looking at social and cultural factors. We're looking at the way that we are building and setting up society. So I'm very much an idealist in that respect. I want to look at the big picture and deal with the primary factors outside of the medical model. Want to integrate the medical model to the best of my ability, but right, we just kind of like bring into consciousness how to address these problems outside of psychotropics is my real passion. I want to be like a glorified, in some sense, just psychologist in some sense. We'll see. It's true. It's true. So I'll be licensed as a psychiatric nurse practitioner. So I'll have a license pretty close to a psychiatrist. So that's kind of what I'm going for, is having that autonomy. I know I always think like medical school would be pretty interesting as well, but so I got to finish this path and see where it takes me. In terms of what it can do for me. But what I can do for my patients, I get excited about that scope of practice. Having the license to manage medicine as well as the license to do psychotherapy, to me, that's everything. If I get the time with the patient, relationship with the patient, I don't really see why I would really feel the need to go back to medical school. But at the end of the day, what do people need? What are they giving people what they need? And I think I can do that, quite efficiently as an advanced practice provider. So we'll see. I'm going to learn a lot in medicine, that's for sure, the next couple of years. Welcome, whoever you are. I know we got a few more people in here. How are you doing? It's a Sunday. Got a new week ahead of us. I hope that you are getting excited about it because you got life in you. Yes, you do. I'm like giving a pep talk right now, right? Pull what off? Just helping people? I mean, you got to try, right? I feel like in some sense, who else is going to do it? That's how I feel, more or less. Yeah. The key is not me pulling it off. The key is establishing some kind of therapeutic milieu and then sort of helping other people to help themselves. This is the model. People come to me. They're like, look, I need help. You seem to be someone who knows what they're doing. And what I do is I instill a sense of hope and faith. I instill a sense of their own agency. This is what psychotherapy is all about, right? I have a sense of agency. I have a sense of control. I have a say, right? That's what it's all about. William Bengston. I have not, as I Google it now. Let's see. Healing method. Weird. Let's see. Energy cure. He's a sociologist. This looks kind of far out there. This looks interesting, though. Not an invasive, information-based healing method. I'll have to check this out. This looks pretty wild. Promising. It doesn't say anything specifically on the healing method. I don't know what I'm looking at. Image cycling? Hmm. Interesting story about healing intersect with manifesting woo woo. Oh, I see. I see. I see. Well, the reality, you guys, the reality is that technology is the dopaminergic seeking system is our belief pathway. Once we understand it at the heart of how this whole thing we call human nature works, it's built on a hierarchy of value based in our basically social expectations. The question is, how do our social expectations come to be colored? Our perceptions of self and other. Well, we have an early sort of programming with our parents, obviously. But once we start to understand that, like, psychological development really is all about looking at this sort of movement towards something better, right? Uh, Manifestation, or whatever it is these people talk about, it's legit. This is a legitimate factor. The psyche, the soul, is powerfully influenced by what we expect to see, especially if you add imagery to that. Now, that is not to say that that is the ethical approach, but it's certainly very real as a lot of psychiatric medicine, because a lot of psych meds can't tap the thinking system outside of stimulants. I don't know if that makes sense, but the way I see it. Let's see what he says. Image cycling. Okay. Running through these images is the fast pace. Okay. Rapid image cycling involves memorizing images of things that you want but don't have. Yeah. I mean, come on. What what is that but teasing the seeking system? We know that when we tease the seeking system, we release opioids, we release growth factors. I mean, we heal ourselves through our mind in many ways. It's just the truth, it's the reality. I do think that reality isn't necessarily what we see, right? Because then we get into delusion and things. But it's really working through these things that you understand. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the immune system depends upon making meaning out of life. It does. I've hypothesized the social intervention because what's the best way to charge the seeking healthy way? It's forming good relationships, right? If I go to bed tonight and I look forward to waking up tomorrow because life is so interesting and meaningful, and not only that, I can bond with people as I do it, my immune system is going to keep firing on all cylinders. This is just the nature of things. I want people to take it very seriously. And obviously the image work is very powerful as well. Our working memory is largely influenced by the images that we have in our head. Frequently, images can torture people, but images can also be very therapeutic. So it sort of just depends in relationship to the image itself. What's really interesting is thinking more from a Jungian perspective, this idea of the unconscious images or imagery, and how the unconscious images actually tend to orient of what it is we kind of become conscious of. This gets into the idea of archetypes. It's very interesting. Very interesting stuff. All right, I'm going to give you all 5 more minutes. Henry Kelly, thank you for stopping by. The Flash, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for the supporting my image or my vision here, I suppose. Henry Kelly, what a name, by the way. It's like 2 first names to me. Oh, by the way, I don't know if any of you are genuinely interested in working with me, but I put a survey recently about offering a psychodynamic coaching service. If you're interested in that, email me, and we can set up a time. The way it would work is it would be 45 minutes, like a normal psychotherapy session, but I'm not doing psychotherapy. Remember, I'm doing coaching because I don't have a license to do psychotherapy. But really, I'm looking for these patterns, right? I'm looking for these patterns. That's the work. Interesting. 3 things. Where did we come from? Why are we here? And what comes after this life? 3 questions that plague most people contribute to mental illness who do not believe in God. Yeah. So I've honestly been very influenced by a psychoanalyst. He kind of like went away from the Freudian school, but his name was Robert Lang, and he very much developed a model rooted in basically religion. So I see a very religious approach to healing people as kind of the best approach. I mean, it just makes sense. Most of our ancestors lived in these communities, and there was religious sort of identification and hierarchical structures and things. And this is how people move through the vicissitudes of life. They have that shared sense of things and community and ritual. And in the modern sort of context, get really complicated when someone dies. We're not prepared. We're not really prepared in many ways. People are trying to figure out what it's all about as nature exerts its pressure on the human soul. If there's anything I've learned, I am not the center of the universe. Neither are you. But when we come together, we get a really strong sense of that. When we're isolated, it's hard. All right, serious question. If you were going to order Chinese, would you order? Comment below. Comment below. You may or may not be noticing what goes in my mouth tonight. All right, let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. I'm waiting. Rice. Of course, rice. Fried rice? Chicken fried rice, egg rolls. Yeah, that's a classic. Can't go wrong with that. And chicken wings. Okay. I respect that. Definitely going to lean that way. This looks so interesting. I think I might attend this. The American College of Lifestyle Medicine at the Emory School of Public Health. Interesting. Okay. Any questions or concerns for me before I go? You got me live. It doesn't get any more raw than this. All right. Good for you, Flash. Good for you. I respect that. It's called discipline. You got to plan your day. You know what I mean? That way you don't fall prey to those emotional heuristics. You know what I mean? This is Orlando. I don't know. I don't really plan live streams, so I don't really have one for you, to be honest with you. But you like live? You like this? Woo. It is pretty cool. It's always cool when you get like a lot of people, you know, and you're kind of just bantering. I like to banter, clearly. Yes, yes, yes. One day I'll have my life planned out. One day. Something like that. I think I'm somewhere in the middle between ENFP and INFP because I like to talk to people. But then when I talk to people, I get exhausted and I'm like, oh my God, I need to go withdraw into a hobbit hole. So it's like, I want to go withdraw into a fantasy world and then I'll come back. Yeah, I love fantasy. I love my mind. When I'm comfortable in my mind, I love just going into the recesses of my imagination. It's literally the best part of my life. Now, granted, people are pretty great too, but I don't know. There's something to be said for imagination. Pure imagination. I think I'm Willy Wonka right now. Okay. Before I go, comment inspirational quote or something like drop some wisdom. All right, you got a minute and a half. Let's see what you got. Welcome, whoever you are. Hello. See, this is the thing. People keep rolling in around that mark, you know, and then like roll in and you're like, look, I didn't plan this, so I'm not going to stick around. You know what I mean? I'm your past life. You're my past life. What in the world is that? That's interesting. How do you consume fantasy? Film and literature, as well as my own imagination. Really, I like to just let things happen. I just see people and people tend to inspire me. That seems to be my style. You know, it could be as simple as the way somebody looks. It could be the way someone sounds. It could be the way a tree is just sort of standing outside my window, blowing in the wind. I find for me, I don't know, I'm just moved. I get emotionally moved by things. And that's what life seems to be about for me. I don't really know why. Some people are like, oh, you're too interested in your emotions. But in general, it's like, look, I don't have a choice. Life's not worth living if I can't feel deeply. It's just not. And fantasy and art and literature helps me with that. It just gives me that breath. It's like I need to breathe, We're all underwater here. You got to breathe. For me, breathe is very much experiencing inspiration, I think, beauty, um, authentic feelings, because there's lots of different feelings people experience. There's nothing wrong with feeling a certain way. I see every feeling as valuable. Can't hear me? Is my laptop loud? Might be my laptop getting loud. It warms up. My laptop mic is in here, so when it starts to get loud, that happens. Now, what I could do is I could plug in the back. I'm going to unplug the camera and see what happens. It's probably going to crash. 1, 2, 3.